This is a small hall. And first, when I looked at it, I thought, oh, it is good and bad. First of all, it's good that there will be only few, and it's bad that we are not attracting a huge crowd, and we cannot. And that's good, though. One way, it's good too. I think Sean also will think like that. Anyway, it's a good looks good because in out of all other sessions going around, this is the most boring session. Who wants to talk about in this? Look at this bright sun outside. Vibrant discussions are going on around, and then we are talking about artificial intelligence and human imagination. Well, that's not difficult. So you try to make it more interesting, much more that. And we have here an unusual personality. And one thing she left out was he is most of the time. If you look at, he has a website, and if you look at the website, he says. Is mostly outside. He will be in a canoe, or he will be cutting wood, or he will be climbing a mountain most of the time. And then it says whenever he gets time, he will go to Norwich and act like a professor. He doesn't act like a professor. He is one. All right. So he is. So that is unusual because he's right out there and right in here, everywhere. It's unusual. And he writes some creative writing and very appropriate. And it is a wonder that the Mathrubhumi, the car festival, found him. I asked him, how did they find you? He says, they just found me. It's a great thing that the car festival people did, that we have him here to talk to us. So today's subject is artificial intelligence and replacing imagination. And we were discussing a little bit before that. Shouldn't it be creativity instead of imagination? We will talk about that. And first, I would begin by bringing him into the discussion. Asking him a question about artificial intelligence. Should we be scared of this artificial, let it be intelligence or anything? So please enlighten them on that artificial thing. Yes.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that wonderful intro, and also thanks to all the attendees and the conference organizers. I've loved my time in Kerala. Unfortunately, I leave this afternoon, and I wish I had many more days here. But in terms of should we be afraid of AI, I want to say yes, and I want to say no. I want to say yes because I feel afraid of AI. As Ethiran was mentioning, I spend a ton of time outdoors. I'm a very nature-based human. I like simple things. I use technology, but I also get nervous at its rapid development. So does it make me nervous? Yeah. But then I also think back in 400 to 300 BC, Plato was arguing that the book was going to, or written text was going to ruin storytelling. He also thought it would destroy memory. And he was right about memories. Our memory does change once we go from an oral storytelling tradition or culture to being a written culture. So he was right about that, but it sure has not destroyed stories. As you can see with this festival, there are so many storytellers here, whether it's the presenters or the participants. We all have our stories. So Plato was worried about this. In the Roman days, some of the emperors would not allow certain technologies to be used because they were afraid that they would replace the workers. So they had better ways of transporting materials, and the emperors said you could not use these better systems. Why? Because we want our unskilled laborers to have jobs. So this is nothing new that we're dealing with. It's been going on and on. And we were talking about the camera. Do you want to dive into the camera?
Well, when camera was invented, when especially in mostly in Europe, camera was getting popular, and one, I think he was an art critic or art connoisseur, he declared that painting is going to die. He said the painting is dying or painting is dead. Cut and clear when camera came, and he would expand on it, I hope. Yes.
I'm
Did
gonna.
it kill it? It did not kill painting at all when camera came in. Yes. And as I read along with that in the same article, it said that it inspired new art form in painting like impressionism and cubism and such kind of stuff. Maybe he knows much better than that. And that.
I'm just gonna be using my camera to take some photos,
All right.
and it's become a ubiquitous part of our
True,
lives.
true.
But painting has gone nowhere. So the reason I would say no, we don't have to worry about AI is we've always continued to evolve as humans, and we've continued to grow. And some of us will lose some of our jobs, but that's always happened, and that's a shame. But hopefully, then we can retrain and find new things. And I'm sure some of us writers will be displaced. I was talking to Marcus, one of the other presenters, and he was talking about composing for movies and video games, and he thought that was a great tool for AI to be used for. You could kind of plug in your themes, your ideas, and you could even generate it for each individual as they were moving through the screen. But then so many other things need that human creativity, that human imagination.
As the title says, the title says imagination, and I was discussing with him like a few minutes before. Shouldn't it be creativity? What do you think about it? Is it human imagination? Nobody can control it or put a seal on human imagination. So, what about creativity? Imagination and creativity, those are two different things. So, how is AI going to affect these two things? Is it going to affect? Is it going to affect imagination, creativity, or both, or one? Yeah.
I think the answer has got to be yes.
Yes,
It has
will.
already affected it, but it
Yeah.
just depends on how we allow it to affect it and how we learn from it. I'm coming off as someone who loves AI. I don't really use AI much, and I don't always love the next technological advance. I'm also 51 years old, and I'm recognizing that I'm becoming the old man who's doesn't who shakes his fist at the changing of the world. But when I was asked to talk about this, I realized sometimes you have to adapt, and I think our creativity gets the chance to learn from AI, to say, how can this be a tool? Just like I remember when I got my first computer and that became a tool. I remember when spell check and now Grammarly got added, and that changed my writing. How even when Microsoft Word gets new features, I learn to write in new ways. So it should be another tool in our tool belts.
Do you use Google Pay? Do you use Google Pay? Use Google Pay? Google Pay, or even any kind of money transactions using a cell phone. You are using AI. You are using AI. You are already using AI, and it's not going to kill any of your creativity. Your bank transaction is not a creative thing, but still, it has already changed you unknowingly. Yes. Any of your bank transactions using your mobile phone, you are already part of it. So we cannot change it. We are not going back. So there is no need to worry about this. So such kind of questions, I think as of today, we have such kind of question. There is a concern when a question is asked, is AI going to affect creativity? There's a little bit of concern in that question, a little bit of pain in that question. And that's what he was trying to explain in a way that which should answer some of the questions we are asking now. And about creativity, how will it change creativity? How will it change? Yeah. So maybe you can tell us more about how it is going to change creativity. For example, creative writing. Is ChatGPT going to affect anything? ChatGPT. You have heard of ChatGPT, haven't you? Have you written something in ChatGPT? No, you don't write in ChatGPT. ChatGPT will write for you. Okay. He has written books on creative writing, non-fiction creative writing. So for creativity, AI, and the give and take. I think you would say more. Yes.
So I'm thinking about writer's block, and one of the things that creates writer's block is having too much freedom. If someone says, "Write me an essay about your life," "Write me a story about your experience," a lot of times we get overwhelmed and we don't know where to begin. Do I start when I was 6? Do I go when I was 12? Do I talk about that moment at 18? But if I say, write me a story about your life that starts, say, at today's age, and then goes back to when you were half that old, and then goes backwards again to when you were half that old again. Now, what those constraints do is you're like, okay, I'm 52. If I go back half of that, around 26. So what was I doing when I was 26? And then half of that again, what was I doing when I was 13? And now it starts making it easier to do that. And I think the benefit and maybe the failing as well with AI and creativity or imagination is AI, you ask it any question and it'll give you something. And I was playing around with it yesterday, and I had some interesting results. But it really allows you to ask really broad questions that are not very useful to creativity, but it also allows you to tailor it down. I asked it to write a poem like my poems, and it did that. And I discovered one of two things. One is either AI is a terrible poet, or more worrisome, I'm a terrible poet. So I'm not sure which one. But what it forced me to do is to, when it wrote a poem like me, it forced me to see what AI thinks I write like. And then it made me say, okay, is this what I want to be seen as? Is this how I want my voice to sound? And so that was one cool way to ask, kind of like a mirror, who am I? How do you see me? The other thing I did, and I wish I could show you this better, but I asked it to paint a portrait of me. And if this doesn't come off as right, it's probably because the light's not good. But AI made me the most handsome man you will ever see. And there's no doubt about that. So it gets that wrong, at least. But then the other thing I did is I asked it to write a poem based on something I'd found online about math and spirituality. And then I asked it to change the poem. And then I asked it to make it more lyrical. And it was this really cool process of seeing how we could revise. And I saw maybe AI could be an editor, could serve as a tool to help me think about language, to think about structure. AI, at least Chat GPT, loves rhyming, so even think about rhyming as well.
All right, thank you. Whenever you read about creativity and AI, normally you would see those experts telling you that it's a different creativity. Creativity is being redefined. It's not the creativity you think about, you thought about yesterday. Creativity, the problem is that whenever such questions are asked, is AI going to ruin creativity? Then the question is, which creativity? What creativity it is going to ruin? Creativity is being redefined because creativity always had been redefined all through history. Creativity, for example, creativity in painting, we had periods. We have periods for, if you look at the history of painting, yes. So the creativity changes in all those periods. So creativity is not something which is stagnant, not something which is just nailed down there. It always, the definition changed always. And now Most of the experts put forward this, why are you so nervous that when this is happening? You're so nervous because the impact is really, really high. That is why it's shaking us. Creativity. So because ChatGPT or not ChatGPT, all other new this deep learning, this all these new devices are making new things. Like for example, paintings. We have amazing paintings done by AI. Some of them are stunningly creative. And then the counter argument is that, well, it took all the data from some previous data. So what? All the painters took data from previous data. All the paint, for example, if you look at the painting history, the technique or even any other details of painting, the usage of the paints, the technique itself, the idea itself, the meaning itself changed each time, taking energy from the previous style. So we are always doing that. So AI is doing it in a much cleverer way. AI is really smart. When it is looking at the past, the same technique, suppose you want a cubism type painting done for you by AI, it's going to check thousands and thousands of cubism paintings, and then it's going to create it. And we cannot do that. So it's much better. So the argument is that creativity is not stagnant. It is changing, and it has been ever changing, and that is what is happening now. So there's no need to feel nervous about it. I hope he has something to say about this more. Yes.
I'm nervous about it.
Yes, you are. You're right. You're right. Okay.
I talked that some people will
Yes.
lose their jobs, so I'm nervous
true.
about that.
Yeah. Not on the creative. When you look at the real substance of it,
But
is it creative or is it a machine made it? The human element, the human effort was a little there. That I don't know. Some of us are getting nervous about. Well, you are nervous, all right?
Well,
yeah.
the other thing I'm nervous about
Yes.
is how these computers learn, who they learn from, and what I get nervous about that is I'm a place-based writer, and I'm a firm believer in that people come from place, that we grow out of wherever we're from. So I grew up in eastern Pennsylvania in America, and that landscape created me as much as my parents created me. And that taught me lessons on who I am and how I act. And that to me is really important. So when I write, so many of my stories come from my family, and they come from my place and the people of that place. And what I worry about with ChatGPT and similar ones is that if I feed it in a prompt, and if you feed it in a prompt, and if you feed it in a prompt, we're all coming from different places. ChatGPT is placeless. It's everywhere. And a couple of different things could happen. One is it could make our stories sound the same. And we're all human, so our stories all are the same. But they're, again, grounded in the people of your place and in that place. So I worry about that. And then the other thing I worry about is whose data is leaned on the most. I'm a white man from America, so I'm a part of the history of colonization, and we're also the history of a lot of the technological pushes. So will ChatGPT be controlled by that? Will it tell more of the colonizers' stories? Will it ask all of us to tell a same narrative? So that's something I don't know if it's doing, but I've actually heard that it has a tendency to go racist and sexist. So those things all do worry me about creativity, that we might lose some of that.
All right. Having said that, the question arises: suppose the machine or AI is making a new kind of painting. All right, it's amazing. It is stunning. It's it's really modern in style and everything. So how do you judge it? What are the parameters you can judge it? Because you cannot make a judgment. See, as I was saying, if you look at the history of painting, when you look at a painting and it belongs to a certain period of time, so it has the style, content, and it conveys things in different ways. All these are different. So you make a judgment in a different way. So when this new thing, a new creative thing, whatever it is, comes, how do you judge it? That what experts think is that how to they don't know how to tackle this. How do you make a judgment? How do you compare this painting with? Can we compare this with another kind of painting? What kind of painting? That's all done by human beings. So there is a challenge here, which is happening for anything creative, which is done by AI should be viewed or perceived with a different eye. And who should do it? Should we use our own mind, or should we again use AI to make a judgment? Then everything is left to AI. I don't know what you think about that. Yeah, right.
I used to build trails in the desert southwest of America. So I would take a crew of young adults and a bunch of tools, and we would dig trails. And sometimes we were lucky enough to dig in areas where ancient cultures called ancestral Puebloans used to live. And they would paint on cave walls, or sometimes they would put their hand on the wall and then they would blow paint around it. And you'd see these phantom handprints or these prints of snakes. And they're very simplistic, but they're also thousands of years old. And they're, to me, some of the most stunning art I've ever seen. When I see them, I get moved. So if I were to compare that art side by side with some AI-generated art, which I saw the first day at the conference, it's stunning. And if you put them side by side, which one's got more detail? The AI-generated one. Which one is more lifelike? The AI-generated one. And we could do this for more and more categories. Which one is better? Now, that's a completely different question. And that really goes back to the aesthetic of the viewer. And there, to me, we have to keep thinking, all right, AI generates this, but how does it generate it? The speaker showed so many different images that I would argue that he and AI created. AI is the tool he's using. So I created one art with AI. It was a wonderful painting, but it had no heart to it. It had no connection to what I asked it to do. So did we create something cool? Yes. Is it beautiful? I don't think so. Whereas the AI artist who was presenting here, to me, he had, and he used AI to do this, he had a really clear thesis or idea. And he had a real interesting way of wanting to execute it. And to me, his art was achieving that beauty in the same way the ancestral Puebloan art was, because they had a vision, a story they wanted to tell, a way they wanted to do it. So the way to judge it for me is, what is your purpose? How are you helping AI get there? And how is AI helping you reach there as well?
True. So doesn't it mean that ultimately it's a human element which is the important thing, isn't it? It is a human element, what we perceive, because we are the ultimate judge on this. So those who are worried about missing a human element, here it is. Don't you think so?
That's
Yes.
what it seems like.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and that would be my worry. In the future, will they get rid of the human element? Will
It
AI
cannot. Well,
be able to create a TV show just for you, or a TV show just for you?
true.
And then I wonder, all right, you watch your TV show and it knows what you like and it just keeps reproducing that.
True,
And you get
true.
more and more specific, and then you never watch anything
Watch
else. So
it.
that would be a worry.
True.
But yeah, I do think it's a human element. Do you agree?
Finally, yes, it is. And having said that, Finding Abbey, that's your book. Famous, he has written a book on a kind of mysterious, can you use the word mysterious personality for that person?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, about a mysterious personality, another nature lover, a diehard nature lover, and his body was buried in a desert in an unknown place. When it is a desert place, it's very difficult to find out where it is. And he has written a beautiful book, famous book, Finding Abbey. Yes. And I was just wondering if you ask ChatGPT or one of these devices, AI devices, to write about Abbey, would you be comfortable? What do you think? Suppose somebody else does that, or you yourself, out of curiosity, you give this plot or it's not a plot. It's a real person, and it comes up with another book or novel. How do you perceive? How do you look at it? Would you resent it? Would you get angry? You will be happy. You will adore it because it's a different version. Another possibility which would have happened to Abby. How would you think about that? Yes.
If it's a good book, I would love it.
Oh, you would. All right.
I
Okay.
love Edward
Okay.
Abbey. I mean, he's a complicated writer and
Yes.
human. So I love his writing. I don't always love all of his ideas. So I always like to say that just in case you read Abbey and say, hey, what about that? Well, he's
What
got
about
problems.
that?
But my wonder about AI, if I fed in, write me a book about Edward Abbey and home and feeling placeless, and then so Abbey was buried in a hidden desert grave, and then ask AI to write about his grave. I don't think it has. I know it doesn't have my heart, and I don't think it can understand what it might feel to be out of place in an area. So I don't know that it could write that book. So I think you need a heart. AI's kind of got a brain.
To do that, yeah.
But I don't know if AI has a heart. So I think
Okay.
AI can replicate,
True.
but I don't know if it can truly create. Am I wrong about that?
I was about to arrive at a little different point because now they have found out that AI could have its own bias.
Yes.
Depending on what it's getting it. Suppose in the book, Abby had a lot of negative, so-called what we think negative now, like a misogynist, and he had a lot of other issues. Suppose the book will highlight those things and portray him as a different person. What will we do? It's not that what you do. It's historical. It's a real person. Suppose the book is it's going to be a machine. So, but it has bias too. So how do you look at it? Suppose Abby's close relatives. I don't know whether he has any. Suppose they look at it. What do we do in such kind of situations if that happens? Yes. Yes.
Well, I think we're already dealing with this with social media where
Yes.
there's a lot of distorted facts, whether they're political. AI seems to make up things. We had, oh gosh, it was an American politician, I believe, and he wrote, or he had AI write something for him about legal precedent, and AI made up legal cases that never existed. So, again, to me, it's a tool. I have a hammer, and I'm building something, and if I swing that hammer, I can put a nail in the wall. If I don't pay attention, I could hit my thumb, or I could drop it on my toe, and that's a lot of user error. So if I use AI and do not pay attention to what it's doing, that's on me. I've got to check my facts. I've got to make sure that what I'm asking it to create is real and authentic.
Yeah, that's right. Suppose the book brings up your name along with that. Would you think that you are in big trouble, or what do you think? Because the book is printed. It's all over the world. It's in Amazon. You cannot do anything with it, and your name comes up with it. Your name went into the history of Abai, and here comes because ChatGPT or whatever AI, it doesn't have any shame. It doesn't. No, it doesn't care. So how would we? Trying to generalize this. How would we face this? How would we confront this kind of reality which is going to loom on us? It's kind of a little bit scary. Is it not scary?
Well,
Yes.
again, I asked it to write
Yes.
a poem like me, and I was like, huh.
Yes.
And then I asked it
True.
to create a portrait of me, and I was like, that's definitely not me.
Yes.
My wife may want
True.
that to be me, but it's not.
True. Yes.
So we've got to be human. We've got to use our brains. We've got to again recognize that AI does not know me. It knows the data that exists about me, and it's going to get some of that data right, some of that data wrong. So as it's writing a book about Edward Abbey, it'll find what it can find, but it does not seem to be able to always judge truth from fiction. And it does not always seem to be able to judge you from me. So we get this amalgamation of multiple things. And that might be cool and interesting in spots, and it might just be wrong in other spots.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Do you agree?
Yes. But for many, and I was talking about this with my friends, some of them thought that it is scary. Yes. it is because some of the truths would be out there, open, latent. Yes, that could be. I was reading some of the recent articles on this yesterday because I had to catch up with all these AI things recently, because what you find in literature, both scientific and non-scientific, the ideas coming out are amazingly huge. So it's not easy to catch up with that. One point one point which caught my attention was that there is an argument that the creativity by AI has a higher potential. Creative potential is a uniquely human trait. That was the thought so far. Creative potential is a uniquely human trait. Now, AI is telling us no. Creative potential. AI is saying, well, we have creative potential. It could be even more than what you think. That could be the truth we need to digest. It's not that easy. And there are some experimental evidence for that. There was a famous paper which came in Nature, like in December. They did tests on human creativity and then AI creativity on the same subject. They compared human and AI. And when they made the final judgment was made by human and AI together. The AI creativity was much better, they say. Much better in what sense? I don't know. But that is the final, the last paragraph in the articles. It proclaims that it's a high order creativity. What should we think about this?
A story, I was talking to Marcus, one of our presenters, at dinner last night, and he was talking about a composer who fed all of his work. I think he was a jazz composer, and he fed it into an AI machine and asked it to compose something that sounded like him. And when he listened to it back, he said it sounded just like him, but doing something he had never thought of doing. So at times it can be a really cool, maybe prism, where you can put yourself in, and AI will say, well, what you're doing is this, but you could also do these things, and maybe then it can be creative. I don't know if I would ever say it could be better, only because who judges? And I guess I can look at a painting, and if you tell me it's mostly AI generated versus hand generated, I'm drawn to the technical expertise of that hand moving that paint. So I want to know the context. I want to know the culture. I want to know the artist. So some of that goes into it for me.
True. In that sense, both of us are teachers, all right? Both of us are teachers. So, how do we tackle this? How do you tackle this if your student brings up some, okay, you give a homework and your student is bringing some other student comes and tells you that, honestly, teacher, I got the help of AI, some tool of AI, and then you look at it, it is amazingly good. It's much better than even the teacher can do. All right, what do we do in that kind of juncture? Because it's AI too, but it is true, it is good. What do we do as teachers?
So again, I used to live and work in the woods, and at one point, I got really good at looking at the sun and saying, "Oh, it's about 1:10 in the afternoon." All right, and then I would go back to work, and I'd look back up. Oh, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon, and I could really tell time from the sun and not from the watch I was wearing. I also had a watch. Was it wrong of me to look at that watch? I've been looking at my cell phone. We're almost to the Q&A time. Is it wrong for me to check my time on my clock? And whether I want AI here or not, the world does not care. So it's here, and it's a tool. And if I tell my students not to use it, I am being a Luddite, and they're going to use it. So what I need to do is I need to teach in a way that allows them to use it as one of their tools. It's always going to exist, and they can either cheat, or I can recognize that time is passing me and I've got to keep up. So I'm looking to build more assignments that ask them to play with AI, ask them to see how it works, and then especially assignments that helps them achieve the goals I want them to achieve, which is to learn how to communicate effectively. And if they can use AI as a tool to communicate effectively so they can achieve what they want, they've done what I've asked them to learn. And it might not be the way I learned, and it might not be the way you learned, but we're not in that world anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you do?
Well, I will just take it as such, and I will give good credit for the student. Okay, because it looks much better than I can do it. Okay, so no matter what, my student, and I don't think that the student did it. Somebody did it, and we have a creative thing right here. It looks really good, whatever it is. Essay on anything, right? Scientific or non-scientific. We have a new thing, a new thought in there that I didn't think, or even the student didn't think. We have something quite novel and new and impressive, and that's what we are looking for. That's why we spend time in the college. That's why we teach. That's why we go as a student. And we achieved greater things right by that. That is how the world should move forward. Or that is the way it is moving forward anyway. And we cannot even control it. And it's doing it. It's doing it. Yes.
It's just like the invention of the wheel.
No, that's right. That's right.
And
it's
it seems
going
to be Q&A time or
Yes.
comment time.
Yes. So if you have any questions, please ask.
My question is regarding to Ethiran Kathiravan.
Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, you are a Malayali
Yes.
Science writer.
Yes.
And I would like to ask you a question on whether
Yes.
it is said that by studying the AI, the generative AI, it is equal to, it amounts to a 5-year-old infant, a 5-year-old boy. The IQ of generative AI is similar to that of a 5-year-old boy.
Who said that?
Somewhere I read it.
No.
Yes, true. It is, I will explain you.
All right.
It is a misnomer, sir, because a 5-year-old.
Yeah, I didn't write that anyway.
You don't.
I
write it.
didn't.
You know,
Okay.
somebody
wrote it. That's
somebody
wrong, though. If somebody wrote
maybe,
it,
could be,
yes.
could be.
Yes.
Sir, my question is regarding whether it is a misnomer, because
Yes.
a boy of 5 years has tremendous amount of imagination.
True.
Unlike
True.
a generative AI.
Yes.
So it is a misnomer. I'm here reminded of
Yes.
a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest in which the real Charlie Chaplin also participated, but he placed third.
Yes.
It is just like generative AI. Generative AI makes humans third.
Yeah.
Because in a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest, genuine Chaplin also participated. He got third place only. So the ChatGPT or generative AI is like that.
Yes.
It is a clone. It is a duplicate. It is a triplicate clone.
True. What he was trying to say was that he was giving an example of a Charlie Chaplin imitation contest, and Charlie Chaplin himself participated, but he only got the fifth prize or something. And he's saying it is, the generative AI is like that. It's much better than the real than the real thing. And he was agreeing with it. Yes, yes.
That's a great example.
That is, yeah. That's,
Both of you would agree with me, and everyone here in the crowd would agree with me that we are in the nascent stages of AI, and it will be too early to predict. But as Ray Kurzweil had mentioned in his book Singularity, he forecasts the possibility of AI surpassing human intelligence. And if we come to that point of singularity that he's mentioned, shouldn't we be worried about authenticity and such creative works that have made us human? There are so many masterpieces that we have looked forward to.
true.
Will that become common, or will that lose its essence?
You want to answer? True.
So very honestly, I think a lot of those concerns are concerns I own as well. I don't know what the future will hold, and I don't know what power I have to shape that future. So I look to that future, and I think what I would dream of would be very different. But again, AI is moving, and I don't know how we stop it. We might be able to slow it. I worry about my daughter's future much more than my future. So, do I share the concerns I'm hearing? Yes. Do I know what to do about it? No. I would love governmental regulation around the world. I have little hope that will occur. And I'm very concerned about what technology will do to my daughter in terms of social media, in terms of AI. And again, I'm a Luddite. I like a very simple life. I think the more we reach out, some of it, like I've been transformed by visiting with you all, but that's to me a step towards authenticity, where so many of the other visits, so much like social media can just separate us. So I'm kind of terrified.
Yeah, but there's one other point I would like to make. I think you also would agree with it. Think of this. Who made it? It's a sublime creation of human beings, the AI. We made it.
We also made bullets.
Yes, but who created it? It's our imagination, our creativity created it. Yes? Yes, it did.
Oh,
It is an example. It's a sublime example of human brain creativity. Yes. And is it going to capture us back? That is another question. But the truth is there. For example, you have seen, when you see movies these days, the VFX effects, dazzling. Yes. It is. All those the Hollywood movies, not only Hollywood movies, even Malayalam movies, the effect is amazing. Yes, it's all creativity. It's all creativity, and it's all human brain. It symbolizes the advancement of human brain. It is telling us, look what we can do. We made this machine, and then the machine is doing, but still, the original creator is the human mind or the human brain. But will it capture us back? That's an old story. I think it's a very old story where the machine or the robot or whatever, Frankenstein or whatever creation biting back. That's an old idiom, isn't it? That's an old story that the human creation biting. Yeah, but now the concerns are more, really, really more, because it can, suppose some kind of authority, suppose a government or something, would let AI to take its own decision. It can take its own decisions now. It is taking its own decisions. So if it takes its own decisions, it can affect humanity. It is true. And all the scientists and even social thinkers are really working on it. If you go through recent Science or Nature magazines, at least there'll be one article on this concern. Of course, it is a concern because it can make decision now, especially in the case of clinics. AI is deciding, but suppose a doctor is taking a CT scan of your lung or whatever organ, the machine is reading it, and the machine is telling the doctor, hey, there's no need to spend any time on it. This patient has such and such a problem because I went through thousands and thousands of such documents. This is the disease or the ailment, and these are the medicines or these are the surgical procedures needed. It's telling us. Then the doctor has to believe it because it's beyond human ability. So it's already doing it. It has overpowered our ability already. So how do you put a ceiling? How do you control it? That is a moot question. That is what we should do now. Yes. And how? And who will do it? That's what we have to decide. That is how we have to think about it. Yes.
While we're on the subject of talking about AI surpassing human intelligence or human creativity,
Yes.
why don't we take a standalone approach towards human creativity or intelligence alone? Don't you think AI incentivizes humans to lose out on a creative instinct? Because I should be worried about giving the best prompts and not about getting the most creative output, right? Because if I draw a parallel with autocorrect, for instance,
Yes.
now we don't have an incentive to remember spellings
True.
because autocorrect is
True.
there on our phones, right?
Yes.
So how do you respond to that?
I think that's what Plato was saying.
Yes.
So you are in agreement with Plato, and again, Plato was right about memory being destroyed. So you're completely right about that. He was wrong about storytelling being destroyed, but it was transformed. Now oral stories are a dying story for the most part because of the written word. So we lose things and we gain things. And how do we get through in the end? I don't know. But we will lose things.
Yes, we will. But some of things will not die away. For example, performing arts. We need human beings on the stage to do theater, dance, mime, anything. Okay, so entertaining will still be human. Human can entertain much better than any machine. That's going to stay. Like the spelling bees. The spelling bees have disappeared, especially from United States. The spelling bees, it was a big kind of burden on on poor students to learn about, because the parents, especially Indian parents, will normally make the poor kids to remember all the spellings. But now there's no need. As you were saying, there's autocorrect. Yeah, there's no need to remember the spelling. But in one way, it's better. But are we losing the power to remember the spelling? Who cares? We need not remember the spelling. So why should we remember it? So some of the things, it doesn't mean that we are losing our power. Unfortunately, our brain is evolving. It's not static. Our brain evolved like within last 300 years. The brain evolved. 300 years before, there was no vector calculus. We could not even understand. We didn't even think about vector calculus. And look at us now. Our brain is one of the organs which is evolving really, really fast, and it will evolve. It will adjust also. If AI would have an impact, it will adjust and it will evolve in its own way. It will find ways out. We are intelligent. We are really intelligent. Our brain is really tricky. So we'll be evolving. Our brain will find other ways to keep us entertained. All right. Anything else?
Regarding the question of fearing AI, specifically in the field of art,
Yes.
see, right now there's AI-generated content, there's AI-generated music, but we have the tools to understand what is AI and what is not, and there's a quality difference. So there's people who can make art better than AI. But in a dystopian future, I can wake up one day and the top movies, and I can watch them, I can read them, I can hear them, but I'll never be able to know whether they are AI or they're actually real. like if you consider art as a representation, as a realization of the artist's ideals, his experiences, his pain, his suffering, and you lose that connect when you consume AI generated art. And enough, and this is something I feel, and I feel like if you guys might feel it too. Is there a future where you're scared of, where you can't recognize, you can't separate both of them?
I recently read an article that talked about how AI in the future might be able to again create content just for you, and then create as much content as we need. So yeah, that's definitely something can happen. I was thinking of two different things. One is I'm a writer and I write books, and it seems like a very singular thing. It's me at the desk. But really what it is me at the desk, and then I share it with an editor, a friend or a colleague, and they give me their feedback. So it's a collaborative process. So AI, I hope, is a collaborative process. If not, I think that we get a different spot. And then the other thing I think is I love creative nonfiction. I love true stories. And one of the things that kept me from loving fiction for at least a little while was I was like, but that's not real. And now, to me, a good novel is a beautiful thing, and a good memoir is a beautiful thing. So I would hope that if AI creates something beautiful, I can appreciate it. But again, I agree with you.
Why do we care? That's my question. Why do we care? Have you seen the movie Bahubali? Didn't you like it? I really loved, that rowing boat is becoming a swan-like thing and flying in there. I don't care where AI made it. Have you seen Malay Kotai Valiban? Anybody? Any Mohanlal fans here? And look at it's AI. There are a lot of scenes which are made by AI. All right. Do you think Mohanlal did all those things? No, he didn't do. He cannot do that. All right. Yes. But do you care? I don't care whether it is AI made or not. It looks and the scenes are wonderful. It's Madhu Neelakandan's camera, but still, it's amazingly beautiful. I don't care whether it is AI or not. And some of the scenes in Bhargavi Nilayam was remade, Neela Velicham recently. Some of the scenes are astounding, and I don't care whether it is AI or. So why should you know that it's going to stay? Things will be half made AI, half human. Now there's no way out. There's no need to know it. Why do you need to know it? Tell me. Oh, the emotional, of course. Come on. Now, when I saw Bahubali, I had a good emotional. Do you think it's no emotional connect? No. And some of the moments, that Prabhas character flying around and all. Oh, I don't care whether it is AI or not. There's emotional connection, of course. And most of the things, and these days, what is happening, especially the dances by girls in Indian movies, some of the movements are done by AI. And even their contours, their body contours are even corrected. They're not that beautiful to look at in person, all right? The AI can correct it. And I would look at the girl, oh, yeah, my goodness, she is beautiful. She is sensual. Come on, look at it. I don't care whether this AI thing. Emotional connection? Oh, that depends what you see that. All right? All right, any other? Yes.
Sir, my question is that in this new generation, many children in the population are addicted to internet. So, in which way are the AI going to affect the human being in the future, like 10 to 20 years later?
Okay, you want to answer? This young man has a question that the internet addiction and what is going to happen in 20 years with this generation. Yes. Yes.
I always, as a father, and again, I always feel like I'm the old man. I'm getting older and older. And I assume that my mom and my dad worried about, whatever technologies I was getting into, video games. Again, my computers entered my life, the internet. I remember the day I got email for the first time, where I was, and I just remember thinking, all right, I have email, but who's going to email me? And within weeks, I had, probably 50 different people emailing me. So I went through this same arc, and now you're going to go through the new one, and I'll be the one worrying about it as you and my daughter go through it. And my daughter will tell me, Dad, it's okay. This is just part of the world. And I'll say, stay off of social media. It's no good. And she won't listen to me. So do I worry about it? Yes. But I think we keep adapting to it and keep evolving with it. And I think as long as we keep the dangers in front of us, we can limit the damage.
Yes. Did you get the answer? You think it is good? The answer is good? You think so? All right. You'll find out soon. You need not believe what we say right now because you are going to grow with it and you are going to find out yourself. Then you will, oh my goodness, that the question I asked should have been different. That's okay. You have a question?
AI can generate a replica of me, you, or sir. Morning also I have seen an interview of one of our politician with an AI generated version of him. Okay. So my question would be very simple. How do we differentiate which one is the real and which one is the AI generated version? Would it be difficult for us in coming future? Like when we see something, will it be the real person or the AI generated person? How do we differentiate that?
You asked an earlier question, will it be hard in the future? And I would say, is it hard today? They're already using AI voices in America and probably all across
To cheat.
to cheat. So
cheat.
yeah,
Yes.
I have no idea, and it's a scary future.
Yes.
Sir, definitely this deepfake issue is very important for us. But
The
another thing,
deepfake.
how we can enhance our creativity and quality of life using AI?
I think you
How we-
use it as a tool. You know,
True.
like ask it the questions that you are struggling to answer. You know, like if you're a writer, I'm going to start asking it, what is my writing style? How would you improve my writing? What would you do with this poem? How would you make it more lyrical, especially towards the things I'm less good at? And then I would evaluate if it's helping me or not. But I would use it as an editor, as a tool, and I would be very worried about how others use it, and I'd be very worried about the world of our children. And then they'll tell me I'm an old man and just be quiet.
Yeah. Well, it's more than that. It's I know that such concerns are there, as you are saying, but think of AI in the clinical side. It is benefiting a lot because immediately when as I was saying before, for a CT scanning, it's going to screen millions of CT images and it will tell the doctor this is it. And that's the quality of life being changed. The doctor gets immediate, not even that, the doctors or even nurses are going to disappear because the AI is going to take over. It's for your good. Don't worry about it. Now, this is saying that now the AI doctor will see you. That is what is going to happen. And then the real doctor will see you. Yes. So it is going to change and it's good for us. So there are concerns, but the positive things are outweighing the negative things. This is a huge difference, especially in the clinic, especially our brain working. It's going to change completely. Yes, it's for our good, though.